Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Max Frequency Podcast. I'm your host, Max Roberts, and I have the distinct pleasure, privilege, and honor on the show for the very first time, Abby Roberts, my wife.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Abby. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Why are you shy?
I don't know.
This
we
is
don't normally record our conversations.
That you know
This
of.
is going to be out there on the internet.
Yeah, it is. For as long
whoever wants to listen to it.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the podcast.
We should have done this earlier.
Well, it was your idea. You wanted to do it.
Like, we should have done this, like, beginning of marriage, before baby, after baby, all the things.
Probably. It probably would have been a smarter idea of digitizing and journaling and chronicling our relationship. But
what better time to start than now?
I mean, I don't know if this is a regular thing. You're not
totally do it.
You're not permanently joining the show.
What? This is news to me.
You're not.
What the heck? I was the brand.
It's called the Max Frequency Podcast.
Oh, Max is frequently having his wife on the podcast.
I mean, if it comes to that, we can have check-ins. We can have Abby episodes, the Abby specials.
That's right.
Annual specials.
Yep.
Maybe do. One show I listened to, the talk show with John Gruber, for a few years there, they did Christmas specials where they would talk about one Star Wars movie every Christmas, and he'd bring in
It's cute.
a couple of people. And on a couple of episodes, his wife, Amy, would be on the show as well. So
That's right.
So maybe the Christmas special is in order, maybe in our future, possibly.
The summer special.
Christmas in July.
Whoa, there we go.
The Christmas in July special.
I like that.
Yeah, so you approached me. And were like, I would like... You did.
How do you make it sound like I found you in a corner?
You did. You kind of cornered me in the house and said, I would like to be on your podcast. We should podcast together. And I said, okay, sure. Why not? This gives me a great excuse to buy a new microphone, which I did. I decided to go down one I've had my eyes on for years. So thank you for giving me the excuse to buy a new toy. But then I'm sitting here, I'm like, gosh, I got to think of some show notes here. I got to think of, what do I want to talk to my wife about on a podcast? Like, I can talk to you about anything any time of day. And so I was just thinking about my show and the angle of the show and how to, like, fold you into it. Normally I'm talking to people about video games, production work, things like that, or whatever. I talk to people about whatever I want.
Because it's your show.
It is. It's Max Frequency.
You frequent
podcast
the show.
at Max's Frequency. I think that's like the tagline or description.
Mm.
And so I think I'm looking at all this, you looked at the notes, I have the notes. This is also I think I can count on one hand how many times I've done a show in person. So
that's what I was going to say.
This changes the dynamic a little bit.
This is probably weird and different for you. Well, not weird, but different for you because you're looking someone in the eye, and it's different than looking at a screen.
Yeah, there's a very different energy going on in the room, and I think that'll come through to the listener. But I want to start with how we got here to this very show, which is unprompted and out of the blue. You became a podcast consumer. Now, I've shared shows with you in the past. I've tried to get you into some shows in the past. Things that I think you would like Serial. Serial is quintessential. And, you're here or there, you try things out, whatever. But all of a sudden, out of the blue, it seems to me at least, you're like, oh, I'm listening to this podcast, and I'm listening to this podcast, and I'm listening to this. And then you're buying podcast merch. You've got your blue hoodie that I'm quite jealous of. It's very nice. And so you've turned into a podcast listener naturally over the course of your life. I've been doing this for over 15 years, listening and producing and creating. And so I'm curious how did you get to podcasting in 2023, 2024 year? How did you stumble into this thing that I've been doing since you've known me? Like, you're not oblivious to them, but you just didn't engage with them.
Yeah. I think it started out like you would try to have me listen to Serial, and then from Serial, I would look up other podcasts as far as like crime kind of podcasts. I don't know what those are called.
True crime.
True crime. Yes, that's what I was looking for. So like true crime stuff, but then that's like too creepy, and I don't really want to consume that. So then I was like, I don't think podcasts are my thing, because when I'm listening to stories on a podcast, I just get sleepy. Same with like audiobooks and things like that. Like for real, like like even in the car, remember we did a road trip and were we listening to Serial? I don't remember.
It could have been
Maybe it was
Serial
the
or...
Stephen King book.
I don't think so, because Stephen King was to Tampa. That was too
that's
short,
true.
and you weren't. We just listened to it in chunks.
It may have been Serial.
Was it?
Or maybe it was something before that.
It could have been one of my attempts to get you to listen to / read 11/22/63 by Stephen King. That's another book.
That's probably more like...
Or the Lauren Graham book, Talking as Fast as I Can.
That's exactly it.
Okay. From Gilmore Girls to Gilmore Girls.
So I don't know. I realized that when it's story-based like that, then I get sleepy. If it's more conversation-based or in terms of seeking education and knowledge, I think I'm like diving into it.
So what you're saying is you would like to listen to my podcast?
Like in general?
Yeah, my show's not story-based. It's all conversational.
Well, it has to be a conversation I'm more interested in, too. Not that I'm not interested in people you have on your show, but, yours is more tech, video game. I'm more into, like, lifestyle podcasts. Or...
the YouTubers.
Yeah. Sure, influencers. But originally I started getting into podcasts because we got pregnant with our daughter, and immediately I had this freak out moment, like, if we're going to raise a human, I should probably know how to raise a human.
And you went to podcasts for that
I
answer?
did. Yeah, I don't know if you knew that.
No, I did not.
Because I feel like as a mother, I'm supposed to have all this knowledge automatically, like, this is what you're supposed to do with a newborn, this is how you take care of a newborn, this is the experience of just normal people trying to share that information. So I actually went through my podcast yesterday just at stuff I downloaded, and I was removing downloads because I'm sure that takes up space.
Yeah, takes
so
up
I was
storage.
removing it, and like a crap ton of stuff. Can I say crap?
You can say whatever you want, yes.
A ton of stuff I had was like motherhood stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had lots and lots of nursing stuff, like, how to get a baby to latch, and like how, like, are you supposed to do on both sides? How do you pump? Like, even just things like sleep habits. I had a ton of different moms talking about sleep habits of babies and schedules and wake times, and gosh, it was overwhelming.
I'm like getting Vietnam flashbacks to
and
those
like even things
sleepless
like
nights.
How to prevent postpartum depression, and all this knowledge that you suddenly have to have within 8-9 months. Yeah, of I'm gonna have a child, and whether I'm ready or not, the most I can do is equip myself with as much knowledge as I can see.
Learn as much as possible. Yeah.
So like going to school, I would listen to podcasts. Coming home,
the commute is a perfect thing for the podcast.
Yeah, well, not anymore.
Well, gosh, ever since I stopped having a commute, my podcast consumption has gone way down. It's quite sad because I can't work and listen to a podcast because they're talking and my job is writing. 90% of the time it's writing, and so then I'm suddenly writing other people's sentences, and I can't do it. Now, if it's a tedious task, like entering data in a spreadsheet, then I could listen to a show. But yeah, the commute is like a sacred space for a podcast. 20
to 30 minutes, it's chunked up. Like that's enough time for me to really dive into something, but also like have that, oh, I'm excited, I get to listen to this again when I hop back in the car.
Random thing. I was just listening to a show in the car the other day, ironically. I think it was last night, maybe, or the other day. Anyway, one of the hosts mentioned that they were listening to a show, and one episode in particular was 14 hours.
What?
And I was so
And
fascinated.
that's edited. That's
Yeah.
so it's
I think it was
probably
like games of the decade. So I don't think my assumption is it is not an unfiltered straight conversation. It's actually a highly produced show is my assumption. But I just heard a 14-hour podcast and almost like crumpled into dust.
What the crap? Like,
So
that doesn't feel
and
legal.
taking it to the 30-minute chunks, it would take 28 days. It would take a month to listen to it in your commute scenario. Now, my Disney commute scenario, that'd be a week because it was at least 2 hours a day.
Gosh, I don't miss that.
I miss it for that
Just
part
for
of
that.
that part of the commute. I miss because it was you couldn't do anything else. You couldn't be on the phone. You couldn't be writing. You couldn't watch anything. I didn't want to listen to music. I would rather listen to a show. So anyway, the commute tangent aside, it was motherhood that brought you to the podcast realm. Now, why podcast over a YouTube video or books or blog posts? Like, what drew you to the podcast?
I mean, blog posts were still also very much prevalent in like seeking knowledge, but I think podcast is easy. Podcast is you pop it on. If you like the vibe of the person, you keep listening to it, and it's very calming to actually. It feels more personal, I think, listening to a mom with experience talk about it. And sure, I could do a YouTube video, and I've done plenty of those as well, but I don't know, something about just hearing the voice and then having that time too to listen to it in the car. And I couldn't seek enough knowledge. I just had to keep listening to as much as I could consume at the time, because I was like, the more I listened, the more my mind was at ease, it felt like.
Yeah.
Like, if I know more about baby sleep habits or baby schedule, then I'll be more equipped. And so it was more of like a comfort for me. Like, instead of wasting, in quotes, this time in the car, I'm going to take it and have a purpose for it.
Okay. I like that. And I did not know that. But now we have an almost 2-year-old. Like,
yeah, no, I just lose all time that I ever had personally.
Right. We can't listen to podcasts in the car anymore, and we're professionals, basically. So, but you're still listening to podcasts.
Sometimes. I have to. I mean, I'm also not seeking knowledge like I was for motherhood, but.
Well, I'm curious. That's kind of what I'm curious about is what have you transitioned into? Because it sounds like you started out purely from an educational or resource angle.
Mm-hmm.
But the shows that at least I'm aware of are not.
I only have like 2 shows.
That's fine. That's still a podcast.
Manageable for me.
Right. But those aren't about how to be a mother. Those are your YouTubers that you follow.
Yeah.
And you just listen to those are the conversational ones. So I'm curious how you came to that, I guess.
I mean, the What's Up Dudes one, I think that's the name of their podcast.
Is it the name of the show?
Matt and Abby. I think it is. I don't know. I know it's their slogan.
Slogan.
Their
Slogan.
It should be Slogo.
And it's on that hoodie that I'm quite jealous of. It's a nice shade of blue.
It actually is a nice hoodie too. I almost wore it. Because I was like, if I'm going to be on a podcast, I'm going to have merch.
You should wear the merch.
I need Max Frequency merch.
I have nothing to put on merch. I don't
Put your face. I'd wear that.
Yes, you.
Like, see this man right here?
Uh-huh. Could be a picture, like, on the back could be a picture of my bald spot. Just like... So when you turn around.
So it would be blank.
Exactly. Just a blank T-shirt.
It's funny. What was I saying? Oh,
Matt and Abby, what's up, dudes?
So, I don't know. Matt and Abby were a couple I followed on YouTube forever. And then they made their thing on TikTok and Instagram and everything
No,
else.
their show's called the Accidental Podcast.
Oh, yes. The Unplanned podcast.
Unplanned. That's it. Because they had
That's
an
what
unplanned
it is.
baby.
They had an unplanned baby and all
Baby
that
number
stuff.
2 was unplanned. That kid's gonna grow up and be like, so a
I was-
product that built the business that brings money into our family.
Was me being an accident?
Thanks, mom and dad.
That's
So the
terrible.
Unplanned Podcast. That is what it's
Yes.
called. That just hit me.
So, I mean, they had their first baby around when we had Eloise. I think I was pregnant when they had their first baby. So I'm pretty sure timeline-wise, they were doing stuff with their baby like before we got to it. So it felt like a gradual
They were
transition.
like a little bit ahead of us.
Yeah, so
in the
it
grand
felt
scheme
like,
of things.
oh, maybe this is a way that their traveling parenthood could be an idea for me. And they obviously are sponsors for different, is it called sponsors? They like vouch for different companies.
Sure,
and
yeah,
stuff like
they have
that.
sponsored products, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I was looking at what kind of products to get for Eloise, especially with like nursing and stuff like that. So Matt and Abby are a young couple who had a baby like right before us. And so it was, I think it kind of started with they have knowledge I don't have, and they may not be doing it the right way, but they're doing it one way that we could also parent. And so that felt comforting and helpful. And then this other one, That's the Point podcast, has Kristen in it. And Kristen is from, I think she's from Winter Springs, Florida.
Kristen Johns, right?
Kristen Johns, yeah. And she married Marcus Johns, and he was on Vine. I actually found her because I followed Marcus on Vine, and I thought him and his brother Cody were hilarious. And then he married Kristen. I was like, Kristen is this sweet, like, I feel like I could be her friend type girl.
Mm-hmm.
Just very wholesome, very sweet Christian girl. And then she also has kids now, but she's from, I think, Winter Springs, Florida.
Yeah, I think she went to FSU.
She went to FSU, yeah. So she was raised in Winter Springs, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And then she moved to FSU for college, and she was long distance with her husband and all that. But I don't know, I've always liked her. She was a beauty YouTuber, and I was huge into the beauty world for so long. And so since she came out with a podcast, she is hilarious. Like, she is so naturally funny. She does it with her friend, John. And they are just, it's literally about nothing. Like, they have different points that they have, but it's just
That's
shooting the
point.
breeze type thing. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it. Those are the two shows that I listen to. And they're both just very easy. Except for the Unplanned podcast now has gotten into having celebrities on the show. So they just had the lady who was the daughter in Even Stevens, and she was Kim Possible, the voice.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, just different interesting people.
Okay. And so you just said something that I want to hone in on. You said you listened to them. But in the beginning, at least, when I noticed that you were listening to podcasts, you weren't listening to them strictly. You were watching them.
Mm-hmm.
Was specifically the Unplanned podcast.
Unplanned, I pretty much always watch a video. You're right.
So was it the video that drew you in, or was YouTube more convenient to you? Because traditionally, podcasts, you play in a podcast player. You'd play them, an audio feed, but you've been watching them. Like, it's actually video podcasts in the beginning were so rare. It was like a bullet point in a keynote when Steve Jobs was introducing an iPod that could play video. And and here's a video podcast. Now we just call those a YouTube video. How crucial is video for getting you into this? Or are you just...
Well, YouTube was where I had access. Like, obviously you go to apps and things that you're used to, you're more convenient with. So like, I am on Instagram, I'm on YouTube. Those are like my main sources. I don't go to my podcast app. I've never gone to my podcast app. So I think when my people who normally did YouTube videos made a podcast, I was like, oh, this is really interesting because I'm used to watching them on video. So now that they have a podcast, it just seems like a nice transition that instead of doing all these like random family videos, they're actually sitting down and having conversations. And I think that's when I was like, wait, I like this. I like that they're just having conversations, or it's just casual like that. And then Kristen is different because I really like Kristen. And so I'm more willing to just listen to her as a person.
Because her show is audio only, right?
Well, it is with free, not Patreon, which is part of why I was going to do the Patreon, is because you can get video and early access to a bunch of stuff. But I just listen to hers specifically because it's the free version.
Okay. I like it. So you just use Apple's podcast player?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything different. I just do what I know.
Yeah. And so do you get like notification? You have it all set up that way where like when new episode's up?
No.
No, you just pop in there when you pop in there?
No, I know that she released like the Unplanned podcast. It's I think it's on Wednesdays. I don't know. I'm not as loyal to that one because now they're doing so many different celebrities, and so I'm able to kind of pick and choose when I want to listen to it.
Sure.
But with Kristen's podcast, I know that it comes out every Wednesday, and so I just do that. And I also follow her on Instagram, and so she posts on her story or on the That's the Point podcast story on Instagram. Then they're like, "We have a new podcast out," and then I go rush over to the podcast app and I try to listen when I can.
Yeah, chunk it up.
Yeah.
You gotta chunk it up these days.
Doing dishes while Eloise plays, or in the shower.
One day I hope she'll just listen to a podcast in the car. I know that won't really happen, but
I'd like to listen to anything except for Wheels on the Bus, 5 Speckled Frogs.
Or the Wheels on the Train.
Wheels on the Train. Baby music. And like it's decent music, whatever, but
Rubble and Crew. We have, for the record, we have seen, at least I have seen 0 seconds of Paw Patrol.
No, I've never seen
Rubble
Paw
and
Patrol.
Crew.
I've never seen any.
Yeah. But the Rubble and Crew theme song goes...
It goes hard.
Way too hard. Especially for just 45 seconds to like get a kid to watch a show.
They didn't need to go that hard, but they did for us.
Yeah, kinda. So the Rubble and Crew is on the Eloise music playlist. It's pretty good. So who knows if the show's good or not. But
one day we'll find out. Right now, I kind of like the mystery of it.
Yeah, Rubble's like this bigger than life dog that just rocks out with his dog family and what is it? The builder pups are building it up. Build anything you can dream. They're getting it done and having some fun, working as a team. Who's built the greatest family? Rubble and Crew. You would think we're the biggest Rubble and Crew fans, but
putting up the rock sign every time.
Yeah, we have no idea.
And Eloise, yeah.
Yeah, it's just 45 seconds of pure, I don't know, pure child rock and roll. It's better than most of the music on that playlist, I'd say.
Yeah, it's like actually really exciting and not so incredibly repetitive.
Yeah, so that's a good one.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe to just like wrap up the podcast thing. I just think it's cool because that's your journey is the beautiful thing about podcasts and why I love them so much is it's truly open in this sense of, I mean, there are private and all this stuff as bigger companies have come in, but podcasts are open and ubiquitous with the internet, and you can find a subject or a show about anything you like, and you truly, especially now, because back in the day, to record a call with your friends over the computer was very tough, at least to a couple of 12-year-olds. But now you can just use a Spotify thing and you're recording a show. The tools are so quick and the barrier to entry so low to get just a show out there that you can find anything that you want and it's there when you need it, and then you can engage with it. I like seeing it happen without me playing a role in it at all. Like I've probably in the beginning and maybe a select few episodes have been like, you should listen to this. Like I made this. This is really, I think, good. But I've never been like, you got to listen to podcasts, babe. Like, come on.
Well, I think that's kind of like one of those things where it's like, my mom and dad are making me do it. And then it's almost not as enjoyable as it could be.
Yeah.
But then when you decide to do it yourself and you take your own journey in it, then it's more enjoyable.
Yeah, you've just come into it, and I think that's...
Yeah, it's more natural.
Yeah, and now you, at the very least, have an appreciation for the medium and know that it's there when you want to find knowledge or people or conversations about a certain thing that you want.
I do have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Because it feels like, there's so many influencers now. When we were just getting into social media, it was like to be an influencer, you had to have like a huge following.
Yeah, or
now
you
it's
had,
like
or you had to trick everyone in the circle to voting you up on the list.
But now I think this phrase is thrown around a lot, but like everybody and their brother has a podcast. Like you can literally start a podcast whenever you want. And it feels like now this form of media is so saturated with every celebrity that's had 5 minutes, like that Hawk Tuah girl. I just saw, I follow the Vile Files or whatever. It's a podcast. You probably have no idea what that is.
No.
He had the Hawk Tuah girl, and she just randomly did this interview in some big city and did this stupid, like, gross phrase. And now she's on this podcast, and like she's a big deal. Like people listen to the podcast because Hawk Tuah girl is on it. So what do you think about like everybody, not everybody, but like so many people
everybody
have
and their mother having a
now.
podcast.
Yeah.
So that's the great thing about it is people can come in. But what's also great about podcasts is the shows that are truly great and the people that actually like truly care about radio, essentially, like put in the work and do good things and they stay around. There are so many shows that are just scattered and left by the wayside. And when you see big corporations coming in, like Spotify, buying up shows, moving things around, at least I look at it and go, these are just marketing moves to try and strong arm your way into an industry. But the openness of podcasting has not been taken away. It's not been shifted, despite the bajillions of dollars coming into this industry through ads and celebrity shows and all this stuff. The open nature of podcasting is still vibrant and thriving, and that's how resilient it is. There's I don't remember the source on this, but you probably have heard this phrase on a show, I would think. And subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. How many places on the internet can you say wherever you get X thing? Podcasts are just a feed of audio files that you can access in a slew of apps or on YouTube services. It is truly, in that sense, open. And there are plenty of ways companies have tried to turn it into the equivalent of like a streaming service or cable or whatever through things like dynamic ad insertion or just advertise in general, or buying up huge shows and putting them behind paywalls like Joe Rogan and Spotify. Or not even a paywall for Spotify. You just have to listen in Spotify's app, which is gross anyway. But despite all of that, you can still get shows wherever you listen to podcasts. And I think that's what's great. And that's why I've been doing it for 15 years. Because I love the medium.
I just didn't know if it would feel offensive because it's like me and my best friend have this 5 minutes of fame and now we have a podcast and it becomes this like overnight thing. I'm sure the editing style and like the purpose and the audience is different, but I feel like a lot of celebrities are just like, I'm going to start a podcast and then...
So sure, they definitely see it more as a business opportunity. I saw the other day that This Is Us has a podcast now. I think it's called like
With
That
the
Was.
actors?
Yeah, so it's oh my gosh, I don't know their real names, and I'm Randall, the mother,
or Mandy Moore.
Mandy Moore. Thank you. I forgot what is Randall's name. His real name.
I love him.
Him and Kevin.
Yeah.
No, not Kevin. Who's
Toby?
Kate's husband? Toby.
Yeah.
They host the show. And it's a rewatch show. So they're rewatching the show and they're probably having guests.
Oh, another podcast I listened to I used to listen to as a Gilmore Girls one where they would just talk about Gilmore Girls.
Mm-hmm.
So
so that's like a thing. Yeah,
related
rewatching
to
big
TV
shows.
type shows.
But This Is Us is not that old.
Also, who's rewatching This Is Us? Do you just want to
cry? I don't.
Oh, actually, my coworker is Peyton.
She
told me that
it
today. She said that she's rewatching This Is Us.
I mean, I want to rewatch it eventually, but I feel like it hasn't even been gone that long. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe time is a flat circle. But so I see that and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I think where I take the biggest beef.
Ooh.
The biggest beef is just when, like, I'll use Serial as an example. Serial, which arguably, actually, I don't even think it's arguably, like, they ushered in the modern podcasting boom of pop culture and everything. Serial season 1 was unprecedented. Everyone suddenly was listening to a podcast at the time.
Oh, yeah. And
so Serial just wrapped up season 4 earlier this year, which was all about Guantanamo Bay. It's a pretty good show. It's very much season 3, but much bigger and scarier scale. Scary in the sense of just what happens down there. And so...
Where's Guantanamo Bay?
Guantanamo Bay? It's like where they put the terrorists who did 9/11 and stuff. Like, they kidnapped all these people. It's basically a little U.S. territory military base where torture and all this crazy stuff was happening.
Why do I not know about this?
I don't know.
I've never heard of that.
Gitmo? Guantanamo Bay?
I have no idea what that is.
We've basically had this military prison torture site for the last 20 plus years.
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
I might listen to that one.
Okay. So anyway, since season 1 of Serial, over the course of these years, Serial's been bought by the New York Times, Serial Productions. And Serial Productions is a business that pushes out a bunch of other podcasts like The Kids of Rutherford County, which I think was probably the last show I recommended to you. And so there's a couple of things that they always talk about. They have credits in the show, and they're like, and the art for the season was done by so-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
Or check out, go here and you can get all our show notes, links, whatever. And you go to the website, and it's a beautiful website. It's really well done. The art is super cool. It's a diorama-y style. Very neat. But the way it appears in your podcast player, it's just the standard Serial logo. The show notes are just the 1, maybe 2 sentence description of the episode. And they don't use any of the features, the capabilities of basically the open, I forget the name of those ID3 tags, which basically is just a thing in the MP3 file that says, like, here's the art you're supposed to show. Here's the description. Here are, like, links and stuff and chapters. You can even do chapters in a podcast, which I do with all of my shows. And so the New York Times, which is just an institution, right? And a news organization who on their website has beautiful things, but they don't even point you to it in a meaningful way. Like, you have to go out of your way to find this website. They say it, but they could give you the tools and means and actually show people the art in the podcast player. Like, they could actually be showing off the things that they're...
So why don't they, you think? They're just doing the
because
easy
it's a
way
big
out?
It's a big corporation that doesn't care to take the time to actually...
curate it the way that it technically should be.
It doesn't have to be done that way. Again, podcasting is open.
But
these are very...
use it to its maximum
fullest potential.
Yeah.
And make a more enjoyable experience for a listener. Now, a listener may not dig into the chapters or even click a link in the show notes that would take them to the New York Times website, which is where the New York Times wants you to go.
Well, they probably just figure as long as you're listening, then they're
You're
getting
listening.
what they need out of you.
Yes, you get to listen to their dynamically inserted ads, yes. But putting that art in as the episode art, which each episode has its own art, on the website. Just embedding that into the MP3 to show up in the podcast player would make for a more enjoyable experience. It's in that way, it's almost like puzzle pieces of what's the diorama gonna be like this week?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't, and it's because ultimately, when it comes down to it, it's a big corporation that doesn't care about those details. What they want is they have a huge subscription list that they know roughly the number of people that download, and then they can charge for how many ads that they put in, which are creepily tracked through IP address and location and dynamically inserted into the audio file because of audio cues, which is just ultimately a gross practice, but I get it. It's how they make money. And so, like, those are the things that bug me, especially when I know the show could be doing it. When it, like the stuff you listen to, I don't expect Matt and Abby to put chapters in their podcast or special art on the show. They
put
could
chapters on their YouTube videos, but that's where
because that
they thrive in the most, I think.
Right, and that's easier for someone to do in a YouTube. You just put it in the description, and YouTube will then do that. YouTube will even try to smartly guess what your chapters are if you don't do it yourself.
Do podcasts automatically do the dialogue thing where they can, like, I was listening to That's the Point podcast, and there was the little quote thing where you press on it and the
transcription?
Yeah, the transcription.
So that's new-ish. It's new for Apple Podcasts, and they're using the same tech they use in...
So they don't physically have to write it and put it...
Apple will... So there's two things. Apple will and has transcribed your podcast for you using their servers and these OpenAI model, or not an OpenAI model, but an AI model to transcribe it. And they'll present it that way to you, and you can read it. You can, in turn, though, attach to the post in the RSS feed basically a subtitle file or a transcript file, and you can put your own transcript in there. So if you pay for it or produce your own, I produce a transcript for all of my podcast, I can attach that and say, no, Apple, I don't want your automatic transcription. I'll give you mine instead.
Like the accurate version.
Right. So that's a relatively new feature thanks to the AI boom of these tools and stuff. So not every show does, not every podcast player. I think Apple Podcasts might be the only major player that shows the transcription in line.
That's the one I listen on.
You and most people, it's that, and Spotify truly are the kingpins for the, I'd say, average consumer. So it's I think that actually that implementation in Apple Podcast is super slick, and I think it then makes the show even more searchable because you can search for, like, I know someone said something, I think. So that's new. But it is a supported feature. Like, I can do that anywhere, and do provide my transcripts openly and freely for everyone. Now, my transcripts are done the same way Apple's are, so they're probably riddled with errors from the model that's transcribing them.
Nobody's looking that close.
Yeah, but it is just something that hopefully helps someone in some way.
Because I was listening to them last night while I was in the shower, and I had the transcript up, and I don't know, I'm the type of person where if I was listening to an audiobook, I want the book in front of me and I want to read along.
Yeah, I get that. My dad's the same way. I can't because I read faster than they talk, and
yeah, that does get frustrating.
So I'm like, I can't do it. If I'm going to listen, I just need to listen. I can't.
I don't know, it's just more immersive that way.
Yeah, no, that's a super handy thing. And so those are the types of things that bug me more, is when someone could do something about it, and in general I know that they would care about it if someone sat down and actually talked to them about it, but they don't do it anyway. I don't feel the same way when a Matt and an Abby have a show and they don't offer all these features. I don't expect that from them, but I would expect that from a show like the New York Times, or I don't have my phone with me. I doubt The Verge. Like, if The Verge is a tech news site, I doubt they do half the things that I would think that they would care about. So it just, I don't know. those are the things that bug me more than the influx of people. Because will they still be here in 5 years? Maybe, maybe not. I will be. And I think the resiliency of the open nature of podcast will continue to hold. So it doesn't bug me. I want people to make podcasts. I love that anyone can start a podcast.
And there's a lot of podcasts to do with just pop culture stuff in general. Like, so many Taylor Swift fans, like, going over the lyrics, being like, oh my gosh, I saw this and this and this, and then they talk about it. That Gilmore Girls one I was talking about is just two girls talking about Gilmore Girls, and each week they have a different theme. And, you know, there's just so much. The Bachelorette and The Bachelor, they just talk about episodes, so then you can kind of relate to it and be like, oh my gosh, I thought this too. So I don't know. I think it's just a way of bringing people together as a community, but I don't know if you had any, like, negative, offensive thoughts about it. Like, I was here first. This is my territory. I do it the way that it's, like, meant to be, versus I'm just recording a conversation and throwing it out there and hope it sticks.
I started out by recording a conversation and throwing it out there. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a punching, you know, in comedy, in stand-up comedy, they talk about you shouldn't really punch down. Like, Jerry Seinfeld should not make fun of a lesser comedian. He's Jerry Seinfeld. Like,
yeah,
he should punch up to people above him. You don't want to punch down to someone, but
yeah,
I feel fair calling out
bully behavior.
You know, Sarah Koenig and the New York Times for not providing at least show notes with a link to their website, which is where they want you to go. That's the part that drives me nuts, man. They want you to go to the website.
You're telling me to go to the...
They want you to sign up for the New York Times. And they don't even...
Like, the most basic...
They don't even make it easy for you to do that. It's so... Just like, give me an hour with them. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just crazy. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
They want your money so bad.
It's okay. Let it go.
Exactly. I didn't expect half the show really to be about podcasts, but here we are. Talk is very meta way podcast about podcast.
I don't know. I feel like you just didn't know how I got into podcasts. That was a good question.
I liked it. I like talking about it. I want to pivot now that we're free. Pivot. Oh, that's Friends.
Yeah,
that's
it
the
is.
couch.
Yeah.
I was like, I know that's something. You have in your childhood closet a tote.
Oh boy.
It's a tall, clear tote.
Oh boy.
And I'd say half of the tote is filled with big box PC game boxes for The Sims 2. And it's many expansions. Because that's how computer games you used to buy DLC, was to buy a disc and install it. And so I've been playing games since I was 5 years old. You've been playing games a fairly long time, but I'd say you don't play as many games as I do.
No, I find the games I like, and I stick with that series.
And you get into them pretty hard.
For sure.
I'm just curious. Obviously, we know about Sims 2. What, you were Sims
2
rocks forever?
Man.
Yeah, that was you everywhere.
My sister was Sims lover.
Sims lover, yeah.
Lover.
You know, so
Luva.
You've got The Sims. You guys grew up with the N64. You got a PS2 with your Shrek parties and your Spyros. Like, I'm just curious, I guess, about your earliest memories with video games. Because, you know, we have some of your games here at the house now. We've got, I've got your PS2 collection in a drawer.
Nintendo DS.
Yeah, you've got some DS stuff. Your earliest gaming memories.
No, my earliest memories were definitely on the PC. I mean, the PlayStation and PS2, they were worn out from playing games too, but...
I think you do have a PlayStation 1. You guys started...
We do, yeah, for sure.
I think it was up in your sister's room.
Yeah.
I think I found it last time we were there.
We for sure had a PS1.
Okay. Was it PS1 first or N64 first?
N64 actually. That was all Smash Brothers, Mario Kart. Like that was
Okay.
and Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong
The
64.
orange or yellow.
The banana.
Yeah,
It's
do we have that here?
mine. We have my copy.
The cartridge.
But it's behind Smash
Because
Brothers.
we wore that thing completely out. Pokemon.
Yeah.
Wore that out. You know, just like that type of stuff on N64 was definitely a big one, especially with Katie's N64 with the Pikachu.
Mm-hmm.
My older sister's with the Pikachu lighting up with its cheeks, like blowing on the cartridges, making it work. You know, all the kid stuff that you do.
Yeah.
So obviously N64, PlayStation, but PC is where I really remember it just taking off, especially because we would buy just junky little PC games. I had this Barbie one where I would do her makeup, do her clothes, like do makeover. There were so many different just girly games where I felt like I had freedom over choice. And as a kid, you just always want choices. And when you're given those choices, it's fun. And then I think it went from that, and I had what is that called? Zoo Tycoon. Oh my gosh, the amount of hours I put into Zoo Tycoon was huge.
Were you ever a Roller Coaster Tycoon?
No.
Oh, just Zoo Tycoon.
No, I don't talk about Roller Coaster Tycoon.
We have.
No, I'm just kidding. There's no beef.
I was gonna say we have something going on. I had Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. That one I remember playing quite a bit. My PC gaming memories were like backyard baseball, or putt putt. Did you ever play putt putt?
No.
The little purple car. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of putt putt for you. Pajama Sam, those kind of games. Did you ever play Jumpstart games?
I don't know. I'd need examples. I mean, we played some pretty... Oh, for sure. What the heck?
Yeah. Jumpstart, like the different grades.
Yeah, we had... My mom would buy ones for each grade, and we would do it over the summer. And you learn stuff, and it's... Oh my gosh, yeah. The Jumpstart universe.
You ever play putt-putt?
No.
Oh, putt-putt was awesome.
Looks cute.
Yeah, putt-putt was great. So I remember these are like my early PC memories with playing games like those. But you guys went particularly hard into The Sims.
Oh, The Sims, yeah. I remember going into stores and getting the new Sims pack, and like every birthday or whatever, like we got a new Sims pack, and it was like, oh my gosh, this one's got pets. We can have pets now.
Yeah.
Or this one is a seasons. Oh my gosh, now we have seasons. So it felt like we were just consistently unlocking new things. And that one mythical pack or whatever, where you get to be a vampire, whatever, like all of that, it just felt magical because we reached Sims to the highest potential we could reach at one point, and then they would come out with an expansion pack, and that expansion pack was like the GOAT. And then college, when you could go to college.
Yeah.
Okay, oh my gosh, it was all great.
So then I'm curious. I think I know the answer. Were you like following Sims 2 news, or was this more of a moment you'd walk into a store and see a box on a shelf you had never seen before?
No, we had news. I don't remember how we got the news, but I remember knowing when they were released.
Oh, so you had your finger on the pulse.
Yes. Because it may have been through the Sims boxes like they show in the next. I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Did you ever walk into a store and see a Sims 2 box and go, I've never heard of this expansion. I need it right now?
Yes. But they were usually with the small ones where it was like
the IKEA one.
It was like, yeah, and it was just a bit too expensive for what it was. Like IKEA, I'm not spending $20 on IKEA when I can save money to go buy the college one or whatever it was.
But you do have the IKEA one, so you did spend.
Eventually. It was probably a gift. I probably didn't go out there unless I was desperate for new.
Mm-hmm.
And then custom content became a thing where you could just download crap off the internet. And then it was like, why are we buying all these expansion packs when I can just like download random people's coded outfits or whatever? And then that opened up a whole other world. And then all of a sudden cheats became a thing, and you could max out your money, whatever. So Sims just had so much potential in it, and it still makes me excited to even talk about The Sims because it was such a big part of growing up. And it was one of those things where my sister and I would fight over the computer, and we literally made coupons for each other for this is my computer time, this is your computer time. And we actually split The Sims into, Rebecca, you are going to make the buildings and the houses because I didn't want to design the houses. And then I would move people in and actually play storyline type thing. So, yeah.
I never played The Sims. But I do understand their importance, and it is a transformative series. I've watched design essays and stuff on like the AI behind them. I understand The Sims' importance.
So good.
So then, like, I know you've played a little bit of The Sims 4 on your laptop that really shouldn't have been running The Sims 4. Why do you not have piles of Sims 3, Sims 4 boxes of stuff? Like, what? I guess why did you not stick with it?
I think I just put so much stock into Sims 2. Like, those graphics were the graphics I wanted. I didn't want this updated, gorped looking people for Sims 3 and Sims 4. I didn't want to follow all of that. I just wanted my nostalgic
You just wanted
Sims
the old thing.
2. I wanted to feel like I was building on the same thing I already built on. So it just felt like starting over. It didn't feel like it was part of the same series. It felt like they were trying too hard to make it new and fresh. And
so then why don't you feel that way about Animal Crossing? Because you have Prison on Animal Crossing Wild World.
But they're different enough. Like Sims, I feel like it's so open world, and there's still like characters you build on your own, all this stuff. With Animal Crossing, it's different settings, right? Like city or island or... And also, I think Animal Crossing, isn't it more spaced out? Like Sims, I don't know, maybe it's not. And different devices.
That's actually what I wanted to pull on here.
Because the Switch, like...
Right. Switch Animal Crossing New Horizons came out at the perfect time for the entire world. With COVID, and the Switch really launched it into a thriving scene. But you had Animal Crossing on the DS Wild World. Prison. We have that save backed up. We have the box. We have everything preserved. You never had a GameCube, so you never played the first Animal Crossing. You guys did have a Wii, but you never pursued City Folk. Am I right? You never played the Wii one.
See, the thing was with the Wii, it was always family games for the most part. It was like if you're playing the Wii, it's up on the big TV, and everyone's watching it. It didn't feel like an Animal Crossing type game. What's it called? Like environment, atmosphere. Like we were playing Wii Sports, we were playing Monkey Ball, we were playing Spyro. We were watching each other on it. It just it didn't feel like an Animal Crossing.
It was a family thing.
Yeah.
So like the consoles on the TV, those were more family, sister bonding time things. But the PC was individual,
was like,
or the DS, which was a personal portable console.
DS was where I think I launched a lot of my individual love for gaming, because there was the one Christmas or birthday or whatever, and my parents were like, you can either get an MP3 player or you can get a Nintendo DS, because we were both interested in both things. And so my sister got the MP3 player that she wanted, and I very much wanted a Nintendo DS, the pink metallic one specifically.
And we have it sitting right up there.
And I'm still so proud of myself for not getting that pastel pink, non-shiny one.
The metallic finish is very nice. And
thank you very much.
You guys put like a sticker protective thing over everything, and I peeled it all off. And it's in pristine condition.
That's
I wish you guys might have the box somewhere.
I took care of my things.
You did. Your DS is in pristine. My original DS, the hinge broke. Well, eventually the top screen broke.
Yeah.
It was a sad time. I still have the box for it though. I still have the boxes for all those things. I
always brought mine around in a carrying case and stuff.
Yeah. So it was always fashion, diner dash,
I had
life simulation stuff.
yes, like taking care of pets or babies or zoo animals or
Mm-hmm.
storyline, like, but all very free world. Pick it up, put it down whenever you kind of feel like.
Yeah. Has there ever been a game or a type of game that you've wanted to play but you never did play? Because either it was, this isn't a game I want to play on the TV in the living room, it's not a party game, or like you just didn't have the means to get it, or
There's one that was like Stardew. I had a friend in college, Lewis, when I was
Harvest
in
Moon.
yes, Harvest Moon. Because he would play that all throughout immunology class, and he would get A's on the test, and I would just sit there and I'd watch him play, and he was so into it, and it reminded me of Stardew Valley. So I've always kind of wanted to play that one,
Mm-hmm.
and people would talk about that one.
There are a lot of those. Anything not life or farming. Because Stardew is a game I forgot that you've poured a ton of time into on the PC.
On the PC,
primarily.
yeah.
You do have it on Switch, but you spent the bulk of your time on your PC.
You know, let me think of any games that aren't.
You can't look over at the shelf. I'm curious what you...
I used to play those like Tony Hawk skate games.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't have to... Here's something that we're doing again for the first time in almost a decade. I'm actually getting some Facebook memories of getting some trophies, because like trophies used to publish to Facebook. And so actually I'd have to look it up, but a decade-ish or more ago, we were playing The Walking Dead Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things that we did fairly early on in our relationship together to spend time together and I think bond. You probably were trying to bond with me over my hobby of gaming, but we would play those Telltale.
No, but we also both.
But we both enjoyed those.
We both were into The Walking Dead for sure.
Super into The Walking Dead.
And that's why I wanted to play. And it was a choice game which followed kind of a storyline from The Walking Dead.
Yeah. So those games.
And you're cute, so.
Uh-huh. Thank you. Those games, though, those decision games that we played Walking Dead 1 and 2, The Wolf Among Us,
mm-hmm.
Firewatch. I remember those.
Oh, I loved Firewatch.
Firewatch was very good.
We got to replay that.
I've looked at getting it physically. It's pretty expensive now to get
really?
it. We own it digitally.
Yeah.
I've just it was one of those limited run type of games. I think actually from limited run games. So it's like
popular.
It's huge. It's a huge deal.
Okay.
Actually, that studio. The story's got to be told someday. They announced a second game, and it was going to be like a archaeologist in Egypt type thing. And then they basically all joined Valve, which is a huge game company, and they all just kind of got assigned to other projects. And that game,
rude.
Yeah, that game will never come out now.
Valve is on my poop list.
Sure. It is a game I think about, like that law. I forget what it was called. I'd have to look it up. I remember the reveal trailer. I feel like we all lost something there when they were bought up by Valve and joined those teams and started making stuff for Dota and Half-Life and all that stuff. So, I mean, they worked on cool things. It's just that game never saw the light of day. I think we played some other stuff. I think I had you play Journey.
Was that the one with following the flower or whatever?
We did play Flower.
Oh, Flower.
Same developer, yeah. But so there are a couple of things there. But those decision
with video games where you have to like go on a journey and you have specific things to do, I like watching you do them, which really became a big prevalent thing in our relationship.
And of course, The Last of Us, which has been
mm-hmm.
this is a name source of our child, so
yeah,
kind of a big deal.
Yeah, but with The Walking Dead, it was all about choice, and you took control of the controls. Like, I'm just so bad at the controls, nor do I care to control the game. So I think just being able to watch almost like an interactive television show.
Yeah, where we try to
was
make decisions together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are fun. And we're playing it for the first time in over a decade. We got all 4 seasons for $16.
That's impressive.
It's good. And it's all on the disc, which is important to me. It didn't require a download. And I bought The Wolf Among Us the other day, same deal, so that we could replay that. Because that's getting a sequel.
Oh.
Allegedly will be out. I think they said this year, but I feel like it'll be next year.
Yeah.
It's already been delayed, so hopefully that's good. Really looking forward to that, actually. I watched the trailer the other day. It looks pretty good. Do you remember when I got The Last of Us Part 2, like 3 days early?
Mm-hmm.
And this was still summer of COVID, so you weren't teaching. I was furloughed. And we just, like, closed the blinds, we played it, like, 3 days.
We had no child.
I basically kept you a prisoner. I was like, Abby, I'm playing this game.
I remember you basically saying, I'm doing this whether you join me or not. But if you would like to spend time with your husband, I'll be rotting on the couch playing this game.
That was probably the last time I had a
full
binge of a game.
Yeah.
And I don't know when I'll ever get that again.
Yeah.
It truly, being furloughed during COVID was like, my situation specifically, I know it ranges for people all over, and it was an extremely difficult time for people, but it was like the last summer vacation I'll ever have.
And I think also people were so scared with what was going on in the world, they relied on things like that just to keep saying, like, you wanted to play that video game because it's a game that you love and you had the time, so why not?
Yeah, I remember calling you because I already had the collector's edition on pre-order and the PS4 Pro, which came with the game, and I'm standing in a mom and pop game store, and I'm like, babe, they have it, they'll sell it to me. I have to buy this third copy of the game. I eventually sold that copy and recouped those costs because I sold it with the other PS4 that I was replacing.
I was like, this man is spending all our money.
But you were like, yes. I called you fervently. I was like, you got to pick up the phone. I probably would have bought it even if you didn't answer.
Yeah.
But I was like, you got to let me buy this game. So, and it's so funny. I went there not to get The Last of Us. I went there to get SpongeBob.
Jeez.
So I did that. I remember that. But I love playing those types of games with you.
Yeah.
Where we can, specifically the choice ones, because it does feel like you have, The Quarry. Do you remember playing The Quarry together?
Oh, the teen thing?
The teen horror camp slasher?
That was my favorite. Like, I know we have a tie to Walking Dead and all that, but, like, that was baller.
So, do you remember when I did the guide for Until Dawn, the other teen? They're re-releasing that this fall on PS5, like updated graphics and all that stuff. I haven't played that game.
Dude, we should play it again.
I've been thinking about that we should buy it because you, I think, played maybe like you sat for a couple of pieces, but because it was work, I was just playing it.
Yeah, you had to jump
in. But now, I mean, I haven't played that game.
That would be interesting.
Because that's the same
you can play
developer.
It differently too.
That was the game that kind of put them on the map of horror decision games.
So cool.
So, like, The Quarry is a spiritual successor to Until Dawn.
We play some dark stuff together. We're like, The Last of Us, Walking Dead, Quarry.
Teens dying.
Killing each other.
Yeah.
Good
all
Lord.
sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the fun. That's what makes those fun. And it always, they're all coming back to me. Detroit Become Human.
Oh my gosh, when you replay that one too, that was like
your decision at the end. Like, you made one decision. I remember specifically you made this decision.
Should we say the decision? I don't want to ruin it for people if they don't play it. I know what decision it was.
Oh, you do? You remember specifically what? Because I just remember the consequence of it. Spoilers for Detroit Become Human. What do you think the decision?
Wasn't it like I killed the girl, or no, I left her.
You like left the girl, but you basically
was it a dump?
That's where the result ended up. You made one decision, and basically suddenly everyone got the bad ending. The robot from Grey's Anatomy, he died.
Yeah.
I
was just like, end it all.
Kara got stuck alone at a dump for androids, like in the rain. She's alone all of a sudden without anyone.
Yeah.
And the other, I forget the other character, the detective, he probably died too. Like, one decision and it quickly just went.
But then it went to the end game and it showed the the
You were
result
like
of how many people.
You were like 0.1% of people made that choice.
Maybe I was just in a mood, like, just end it all, man. I'm done.
It was so bad. But then also we played, after that, I played with you Heavy Rain. Jason!
Yes.
Jason!
Child in the mall.
And it was the first time I got a good ending in that game.
I like those games.
Yeah, those are fun.
Those are so fun.
We're pretty...
That's really how we should spend our time.
Should we wrap up the show and go play The Walking Dead?
Let's go.
We should.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye, Deeses. Thank you all so much. I mean, we could. It's been an hour and 5 minutes or so.
Do you want to talk about anything else?
We could save it all for the next time you're on the show. I didn't expect to talk about podcasts for so long on the podcast.
Am I on the show again?
The annual Christmas special.
Oh, Christmas in July.
Christmas in July.
Up to you.
Do you want to? What time is it? I don't know my watch.
It's 10. What did it say?
Oh, it's 10 o'clock.
Oh, no, it's 10 o'clock, yeah.
It's my bedtime.
Yeah, I saw your notification.
Oh, yeah, sleep mode did come on.
That was like an hour ago.
No, it comes on at 1:45, so that was 20 minutes ago.
Oh, felt like an hour ago.
Wow. Thank you all so much for listening. Normally this is where I would like talk about my guest and where you can find them online and all the things, but my wife is at my house. You can find her at my house. Don't come find me at my house.
Don't put out our address, please.
She doesn't really do anything. There's a TikTok with coffees. Oh, I was going to say do anything online.
Wow, I don't do a single thing.
Online.
I'm online. I'm present.
You have a TikTok where you do your coffee videos.
That's right.
You do have a YouTube channel, Mrs. Roberts Science Lab, where you do middle school science experiments. You did a couple of them for the summer here.
I've done 5, yeah.
Yeah, so if you have middle school aged kids that want some science experiments, that's probably a good thing to check out. If you'd like to follow me, you can find all my writing over at maxfrequency.net and listen to this and my other show, Chapter Select, a seasonal podcast where we bounce back and forth between a series exploring its evolution, design, and legacy. Rolling out a bunch of episodes right now from the backlog with extended bonus content and all that jazz. So make sure you check all that stuff out. But I think that'll do it. And until next time, adios.